Carpathians, one of the most beguiling and mysterious regions on Earth. Over the centuries, it spawned countless legends and inspired sinister depictions of a place often viewed through a darkened lens. But as we showed in episode 1, the reality of this preternaturally beautiful mountain range is very different from the fevered imaginings of Bram Stoker's Gothic prose.
Here is the last great wilderness in Europe, where predators like wolves, bears and lynx still roam freely, and traditional rural cultures survive despite the rush to modernize. This time we follow the southern arc of the mountains, from the Iron Gates, a deep gorge carved by the Danube, and heading east through national parks, past hot springs, ancient citadels, monuments, wineries and medieval villages. We rejoin the Danube on the other side of the mountains, where it branches like an enormous tree to form its dendritic delta. On the way, we will see very different environments. The Carpathian Mountains, home to the largest concentration of old-growth temperate forest in the world, and by contrast, Europe's most expansive wetland, a vast reed-covered haven for rare and exotic fauna. The Carpathian Highlands are a catchment zone for hundreds of water systems that flow inexorably into the Danube, like the Cherna River, which converges just below the Iron Gates. As with much of Romania, this is an area rich in history. In this place, Roman Emperor Trajan built the first bridge across the lower Danube, enabling the deployment of troops for the war against Decebal, king of the native Dacian tribes, whose depiction you can see carved 40 meters high into the cliffs at Orshava. On their march towards the Dacian capital Samisegetusa, the Romans discovered a utopian valley, where hot water flowed steaming from the hillsides. Here they built opulent baths and founded the town of Herculani, which grew to become one of the world's most famous spa resorts. But since its heyday in the mid-1700s, Herculani has fallen into decay. Only now have its fortunes begun to recover, with a new 5-star hotel about to open and a raft of other projects in the pipeline. The old town is constructed around springs, which possess differing mineral properties, believed to cure a variety of maladies. For instance, there's one for the eyes, another for intestinal complaints. It was in the 1730s, during the time of the Great Habsburg Empire, that Herculani rose to prominence. Numerous regal resorts sprang up, all dressed in the gilded opulence of Austrian Baroque, and host to a firmament of kings, queens and glitterati. However, the end of the Habsburg era and the steady decline of foreign visitors meant that its fortunes peeled and faded, like the plaster and paint that covered its palatial streets. One of the victims of this creeping dereliction is the Neptune or Imperial Baths.
It's an absolute tragedy when you think that this used to be arguably the grandest spa resort in Europe.
Thankfully, there are now plans to restore this incredible monument, along with another